I am not mad about black men getting their passports and paying to play overseas. I just truly want to help these men to see logic and reason. A man that's looking to marry a foreign woman went to an event wearing a top hat. Brother, are you serious? You look ridiculous. And you're clearly undesirable, but I'm sure that you've blamed black women for your lack of what it takes to attract them. But you want to go overseas where women are unaware culturally of your nature and pay them to pretend while you give them nothing but money and a wet behind. They aren't marrying these women. The men in this movement are largely undesirables or men that want to use a woman freely without her giving any pushback. No, I'm not mad that certain men have decided to go out of the country looking for their next victim. I'm completely okay with that.
I'm getting some mixed signals here. You say you're fine if the men want to leave, but then you call him ridiculous, clearly undesirable, and claim they're just using women. You say you're just trying to help, but that sounds more like an attack. So maybe you do care, just a little. And you say men don't come here for real relationships, but that's just not true. My cousin married a passport bro, and they've been happy for years. So why are these women misrepresenting the guys who want to leave? Well, after watching a few more of their videos, I started to notice some common tactics.
The passport bros are dehumanizing women to the point of basically being used for their uterus and domestic capacity. The passport bros want to put them to work in the bedroom and the home.
Ah, yes, the claim that the guys are coming over here so they can turn women into slaves and force us to work in the bedroom while they impregnate us. Diabolical. You seem to think we're mindless idiots with no will of our own. We might be traditional women, but we're not empty-headed. You may not know this, but in the Philippines, women actually have quite a bit of say-so in the household. Just talk to some of the foreigners that are married to us. But I suppose you know my culture better than I do, right?
Women are furious that men are so sick of them, that they'd rather go and look for a woman in another country than try to be with them. I mean, talk about being rejected. Passport bros is the term coined to describe the movement of predominantly black men to foreign countries to find traditional women who have the belief system to respect their husbands and stay attuned to their feminine selves. This term now includes white men and men from other ethnicities as well who are leaving Western nations and heading to the East for love and respect from women. This isn't surprising because women in the West are constantly complaining about how men are just not good enough, no matter what they do. Their high and far-reaching standards and plain prejudice against men are driving many to move to other countries. It really makes you wonder if this is a genuine shift in the female ideology, or if this is something that women have always wanted to achieve but couldn't in the past. If you just saw the clip at the beginning of this video, you'll notice that an incredibly confused woman walks about passport bras and how they're irresponsible for leaving their own women in their own country. Then she says she's okay with them leaving but leaves no doubt in anyone's mind who's listening that she's internally fuming at the thought of black men leaving women back home to search for better women, happier relationships, and women who believe in being feminine. These Western women are creating propaganda against passport bros and spreading fake news that these guys are horrible to women in the East and only go there to use women for their domestic capacities and their submissive nature in the bedroom. Guys, I can tell you that these Western women are incredibly jealous because women in the East might be traditionally submissive, but they're no pushovers. In the video, we have an Eastern woman debunking all of this, as she shares an example of a Western woman spreading fake news about passport bros. Who would a woman be angry at this? I guess it really comes down to the fact that the ideology of the modern woman ideally works for them from the time when they're in their teens to the mid-20s at the most, especially in terms of financial success. If they're ambitious and want a career without wanting to settle down with a man or have a family, then this ideology works for them perfectly. But if they want to start a family, then this ideology goes against the way they want to spend the rest of their lives, and that's where the problems start. They realize they can't have everything, and that's when they start blaming men for everything that goes wrong with their lives. So when things aren't going exactly how women want them to go, in terms of career, relationships, and life overall. They want the equation to solve itself magically. Women aren't programmed to see themselves live through old age alone. This is why they want to have someone by their side as a financial cushion so they can live their lives in peace and not have to live in a nursery home. Ironically, most modern women say they don't need a man and yet depend on them for so much throughout their adult lives. Men come in the form of boyfriends, lovers, and sugar daddies. This is the reality today, plain and simple. Men are just tired of the modern woman who makes it next to impossible for them to go out on a nice date. Their unbelievable standards are making men look the other way and in other directions. To put the icing on the cake, if a guy does get and commit to a woman, there are all the chances that he's going to receive the minimum effort from her. A sorry state of affairs in the bedroom, constant complaining, lack of respect, and divorce. For what? He has his life savings and children taken away as a final nail in the coffin. This is what's causing men to go abroad and search for other women, which I don't completely believe in, but can completely understand. I have seen firsthand how some women use men for their passports and even date guys from first world countries just to enjoy the money which they take back home. It really is a strange and cold world that we're living in. Coming from a third world country, I can tell you this. Guys, what you need to understand is that most women are just doing whatever they can to ensure the money keeps coming in. If you think dating abroad is something that will find you a different kind of woman, think again. I've seen my fair share of real-life examples where women have conned men abroad. And I believe it's time to actually hear from guys who've moved abroad to find wives they can commit to. Over the last 50 years, we've seen a major shift in the way gender roles have been perceived. And very few people truly understand what each gender is naturally supposed to play for a meaningful, balanced life. With so many people confused about what they're supposed to do, ideologies such as those of the modern woman are bound to cause chaos in the natural order of how life was meant to be lived peacefully. For example, being chivalrous was meant to be a good thing. In corporate America, a business leader who used to open doors for his employees, men or women, used to command respect. Now it's just lost its meaning and impresses no one, at least in the United States. It may still be counted as chivalry in foreign countries where people still have some sense of traditional gender roles. Dating, or what it used to be, is dead. It's all about who can provide and for what. For example, the rise of these sugar daddy apps has only spoiled the dating marketplace even more. It just certifies what we're talking about and banks on the new roles defined by modern women who only date so that they can get what they want without any commitment. And the guy can spend on her for a half-meant, half-serious interaction. The relationships now have become completely transactional. Give or take, barter. There's just so much that men have to do and be in order to complete the check mark for women. Tall, good-looking, have the right category of vehicle, bank balance, funny, more successful than other men, and the list goes on. All of this can only get you a seat at the dating table. One thing goes wrong, and you're out. Women don't need men's help one day until they need all our help because we're supposed to provide for them. This varies from woman to woman, so it can get tricky for men to understand the dynamics. Men are constantly facing mind games to prove their worth to women just so they can take a ride with successful men and then dump them off for another. However, there are men who understand this, but most don't. Men who go abroad seem to have a better chance of winning this game because financially unstable women don't have the luxury to play these games. It's very important to understand that women in foreign countries aren't playing these games as much because their circumstances don't allow them to. The moment they're in a developed country, their thinking starts to change. Just be warned. What's clear to me is that Western society is lost and confused. The family unit has been destroyed because there's no concept of a family left anymore. I mean, Canada has a divorce rate of around 60%. I don't blame the men and women for this. I blame our society and the lack of a family culture. For what it's worth, women in the West need to do something and reflect on why more and more men are leaving for more traditional societies and women in the East, instead of raging and fuming at them, like the woman in the clip at the beginning of the video. Women need to realize that men will travel the world and find someone they like. So, if they keep on disrespecting men and taking them for granted, it's only going to make more of them leave. Thanks for watching Man Reacts. Show us your love and support by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. And let us know your thoughts on this in the comments. We're always up for a healthy debate and discussion.